This year, we finally got the movie explaining the origin story of Buzz Lightyear. Now it leaves us with the question of what Woody is based on and why he's so important to Andy. Just like Buzz Lightyear is a real person within the Pixar universe, I believe that Woody has a deeper backstory than we're told in the Toy Story movies. And he too, just like Buzz, is based on a real person in the Pixar universe. From what we see in Toy Story 2, Woody's clearly based on a famous cowboy. In order to figure out Woody's real identity, we need to go back to the American Wild West era, which happened during the late 1800s. On the Pixar timeline, we have a big gap between Brave and The Incredibles, which takes place 5 centuries later. This completely skips over the American Wild West era in the Pixar universe, except for one short film which may contain the answer. That is 2004's Boundin'. This is the only look into the Wild West era of the Pixar universe. The other thing that majorly helps explain Woody's backstory is the Woody's Roundup TV show, which is shown in Toy Story 2. The Woody's Roundup TV show is an old-fashioned puppet show that stars Woody, Jessie, Bullseye, and the Prospector, which also most likely existed as real people in the Pixar timeline. Jessie is Woody's younger sister, and the Prospector is possibly his dad, but I'm not too sure on that one. And I also believe one other character is part of the Woody's Roundup TV show that we don't get to see as part of the show from what we see in Toy Story 2, and that is Bo Peep. The dress that she wears is based off of the clothing of that time period. And because of her relationship with Woody, it leads me to believe that she too is part of the Woody's Roundup show and also based on a real person. We can see that Woody is able to communicate with animals, and that brings up something really interesting in the Pixar universe, because every animal we see going all the way back to the dinosaurs spoke English. So would that mean that the dinosaurs invented the English language long before England was even established as a country? First, we have to look at the fact that the asteroid that was meant to wipe out the dinosaurs missed the Earth, meaning that the humans and dinosaurs coexisted for many years. In that time, the dinosaurs could have taught the humans language, but I don't think that's the case. Because if you notice, we never actually see any animals speaking to humans in the Pixar universe without the use of technology. For example, I don't believe in Finding Nemo that Marlin could have just asked the dentist for his son back, because they wouldn't be able to communicate with each other. This is confirmed in Ratatouille when it's shown that to the old lady, the rats are making squeaking sounds instead of speaking English. So it seems that the animals speak English, but they can only communicate with their own species. But with the use of technology, this can also be understood by humans. We can see in the Dug Day series that Charles Muntz's collars work not only on dogs, but can be used for animals such as squirrels and birds too. So how does all this relate to Woody's backstory? Because I believe that the real human Woody and this jackalope were friends and allowed for Woody to communicate with animals. That's why he became famous and inspired a TV show where he could also communicate with animals. We can see that this jackalope is well known because he's on the back of this trailer in Cars. I believe the person who shaved the sheep to be the real Woody. He's the most likely candidate since he's the only human shown in this short. When this creature sings his song to the sheep, it's almost as if he's defending the actions of Woody, telling him that he shouldn't be ashamed of his wool coat being shaved. He was most likely saying this in defense of Woody and to tell the sheep that it wasn't anything personal. This creature that we see during the short film isn't just a giant rabbit like you might think. It's actually referred to as a jackalope. If you're not sure what a jackalope is, it's essentially a creature of American folklore that's supposed to be a cross between a rabbit and a deer. It's a legend, almost like Bigfoot. And we know that Bigfoot exists in the Pixar universe along with many other famous monsters.
Just think about a few names, will you? Loch Ness, Bigfoot, the Abominable Snowman. They all got one thing in common, pal. Banishment.
I'm saying that I believe the jackalope to be a banished monster. In Monsters, Inc., we hear that monsters get banished to the human world. For example, the Abominable Snowman is a banished monster. That means that he has knowledge of the future, because in the Pixar universe, the monsters are time traveling back to a point when the humans were around. The monster world runs on a parallel timeline to the human world. We know that the monsters are going back to the 50s in Monsters, Inc. because of various Disneyland posters that can be seen in kids' bedrooms. And because this is taking place in the Wild West era, that means that it's taking place at least a century before the 50s. This means that the generation of scares that the jackalope is from came long before the scares that we see in Monsters University or Monsters, Inc. And once this banished monster and Woody met up, that's how he became the most famous cowboy in the Pixar universe. Let me know what you think of this theory in the comments, and while you're at it, why don't you check out my video about how Elio will fit into the Pixar theory. Thank you for watching, and bye!